Today we'll be talking about natural disasters and the ecosystem. What is a natural disaster? A natural disaster can be many different events that happen, such as a volcano eruption, tornado, wildfires, or earthquakes, which all have an effect on the ecosystem. Earthquakes, landslides, and volcanic eruptions and natural bushfires all affect the many different ecosystems on our planet. Initially, these disasters negatively affect the biodiversity of wetlands, forests, and coastal systems by causing the spread of invasive species, mass species mortality, and loss of habitat. In the short term, select ecosystems degradation reduces the ability of forests to sequester carbon. Over time, though, many types of natural disasters essentially play a role in rejuvenating the very ecosystem they once destroyed. Now we will talk about different types of natural disasters and the effect they have on the ecosystem. Tsunami. Tsunami's height of these waves rise dramatically through as the tsunami reaches land, and the resulting damage to coastal ecosystems can be catastrophic, as coral reefs, mangrove forests, and wetlands are all dependent upon each for nutrition supplies. The destruction of one will ultimately affect the overall coastal ecosystem. The destruction of coral reef fish population leads to the elimination of these species that depended on them as a food source, while on land, the soil that was exposed to salt sedimentation becomes infertile, resulting in the loss of biodiversity in the form of coastal forests and the animal life that they supported. Volcano eruption. The eruption of volcanoes and subsequent lava flow from an immediate negative has an immediate negative effect on surrounding ecosystems. But through the process of primary succession, the forest habitat begins the process of recolonization almost immediately. Many plants in the form of seeds and spores and animal species, particularly insect life, such as crickets and spiders, arrive from adjacent areas to take up residence. These life forms are specifically adapted to survive in the severe conditions following a larva flow and spearhead the succession process. The progeny of these pioneers species change the original sterile conditions to the point where a new and normally more diverse forest ecosystem has developed within a 150-year period. Wildfires. These uncontrolled and violent infernos, traveling at the speed of excess of 20 kilometers per hour, are capable of destroying everything in their path. The perfect condition for wildfires include drought, heat, and frequent thunderstorms. Once these fires exist, they can burn for weeks and do great damage to the ecosystem that they travel through. Despite the initial destruction of habitats, wildfires play an essential part in rejuvenating an ecosystem by consuming decaying matters, destroying diseased trees and related vegetation, creating conditions for a new seedling to germinate, and by returning nutrition to the forest floor. Earthquakes. When we think about earthquakes, we tend to only think about the man-made structures, but earthquakes affect not only man-made structures, but they also play a big role in the balance of the ecosystem. Really think about that one. On this slide, I have a few other different natural disasters listed that I want you to look up on your own and maybe form short definitions of each one and bring to class tomorrow so we can talk about it. Tomorrow we will go over in more detail and play a fun game that will teach us more about natural disasters and how it affects the ecosystem. See you tomorrow.